In the annals of modern boxing, few names strike as much fear and admiration as Naoya Inoue. Known to many by his fearsome moniker, the Monster, Inoue's rise through the ranks of the boxing world has been a relentless display of precision, power, and unyielding determination. But one incident in 2019 during the World Boxing Super Series would not only test his boxing prowess but also his sense of familial honor. Inoue, who had already carved a path of destruction through multiple weight divisions, entered the World Boxing Super Series looking to further solidify his status among the elite. The quarterfinals saw him dispatch his opponent in a devastating first-round knockout, a performance that sent shockwaves through the boxing community and made clear that he was not just a participant but a force of nature. However, it was the semi-final bout against Puerto Rican champion Emmanuel "Manny" Rodriguez that became the stuff of legend. Rodriguez, undefeated at the time and holding the IBF bantamweight title, was known for his durability and composure in the ring. But in the lead-up to their clash, tensions escalated beyond professional rivalry. During a public training session, Rodriguez's coach, a physically imposing man with a menacing aura and distinctive facial tattoos, aggressively shoved Inoue's coach. This was not just any coach. It was Shingo Inoue, Naoya's father and lifelong mentor. The act was not only disrespectful but also deeply personal. While many expected Naoya to react in the moment, he remained stoic, his arms folded, eyes cold. But inside, a storm brewed. In a later interview, Shingo would describe the shove as an ungentlemanly act, a phrase that belied the seriousness of the offense in a culture that places immense value on respect and honor. By the time the fighters faced off for the pre-fight photographs, the air was thick with tension. Naoya's eyes revealed his intent. This was no longer just a unification bout. It was a mission of retribution. Both fighters were undefeated, and their respective titles, Rodriguez's IBF and Inoue's WBA, were on the line. The stakes were as high as they could get. The bout took place on May 18, 2019, in Glasgow, Scotland. From the opening bell, it was evident that Inoue was on a different level. Rodriguez came out with his usual confidence, pushing forward and looking to establish dominance. For a moment, it seemed like he could present a real challenge. He landed a few solid shots and managed to avoid some of Inoue's early power punches, but Naoya was merely collecting data. Midway through the first round, Inoue began to find his rhythm. He countered with surgical precision, landing hooks and uppercuts that rocked Rodriguez to his core. The Puerto Rican refused to back down, even chasing Inoue around the ring in an attempt to turn the tide. But his aggression played right into Inoue's hands. At the end of the first round, Rodriguez had already suffered visible damage, though. He appeared undeterred, perhaps believing he had weathered the worst of the storm. What he didn't realize was that the worst was yet to come. At the beginning of the second round, Shingo Inoue gave his son a simple but deadly instruction. Start, using the left hook more liberally. Naoya, always a disciplined student of the sport and of his father's wisdom, complied, and with devastating effect. Barely a minute into the round, Inoue uncorked a perfect left hook that crashed into Rodriguez's jaw, sending him sprawling to the canvas for the first time in his professional career. The crowd erupted. Rodriguez, bloodied but defiant, beat the count. But Naoya wasn't finished. Moments later, he dug a vicious left hook into Rodriguez's liver, a punch so precise and powerful it appeared to drain the very life from his opponent. Rodriguez crumpled again, writhing in agony. He rose once more, but the writing was on the wall. Inoue saw his moment and seized it. A final left hook, equally devastating, sent Rodriguez down for the third time. This time, there would be no comeback. The referee waved it off and Inoue stood triumphant, having exacted a brutal, calculated revenge. After the fight, Naoya maintained his composure and showed sportsmanship, even embracing Rodriguez. But he later admitted that the incident with his father had deeply motivated him. That bout was not just a victory in the ring, it was a message. Disrespect my family, and you will face the full wrath of the monster. With Rodriguez vanquished, Inoue advanced to the final of the World Boxing Super Series, where he would meet Filipino legend Nonito Donaire. Donaire, a multiple-time world champion, was not just an elite fighter but a living legend. Their face-off was electric, the kind of matchup that draws comparisons to the golden eras of boxing. From the outset, it was clear that this would be no easy fight for either man. Donaire matched Inoue punch for punch, demonstrating why he had earned his reputation as one of the sport's finest. In the second round, Donaire landed a clean shot that broke Inoue's orbital bone, a debilitating injury that would have ended the night for lesser fighters. But Naoya fought on. He adapted, using his footwork and ring IQ to avoid further damage, while still delivering punishing blows. As the rounds wore on, both fighters showed signs of wear, but neither yielded. In the 11th round, Inoue delivered a monstrous left hook to Donaire's body, nearly folding the veteran in half. Though Donaire beat the count, he would later reveal that the pain was unbearable, and he required hospitalization. After 12 grueling rounds, Inoue won by unanimous decision in what many consider one of the greatest fights of the decade. It was a war that showcased his resilience, heart, and unrelenting spirit. Despite suffering a broken orbital bone and nose, he emerged victorious. 3 years later, the rematch was set. Many speculated that Donaire, having learned from their first encounter, might have uncovered a strategy to defeat the monster. But what transpired was a display of growth and evolution from Inoue that stunned even his most ardent supporters. From the opening bell, it was clear that Naoya had refined his craft even further. His jabs were crisper, his movement more fluid, and his timing impeccable. Donaire struggled to keep up. In the second round, a thunderous right hand to the temple dropped Donaire, a sign that this rematch would not resemble their first meeting. Inoue followed up with a relentless assault, combining speed, power, and precision in a way that left Donaire defenseless. A flurry of hooks and uppercuts overwhelmed the Filipino legend, and the referee stepped in to save him from further punishment. Inoue had finished what he started 3 years earlier, and in much shorter time. With Donaire behind him, Inoue turned his sights to becoming the undisputed bantamweight champion. That meant a showdown with British title holder Paul Butler, the WBO bantamweight champion. The bout was hyped as a battle for history, as Inoue already held the WBA, WBC, IBF, and the ring titles. A victory would make him the first undisputed bantamweight champion since 1972. But the lead-up to the fight was not without challenges. Making the 118-pound weight limit had become increasingly difficult for Inoue, and many questioned whether he would be able to sustain his usual pace over 12 rounds. Butler, sensing a potential vulnerability, openly dismissed Inoue's conditioning and plotted an upset strategy based on survival and endurance. From the outset, it was clear Butler was in over his head. The first round saw Inoue establish control, with a mix of jabs, feints, and stinging body shots. Butler, realizing the danger he was in, retreated into a defensive shell, adopting a high guard and moving laterally to avoid Inoue's power. But Inoue was patient. He broke Butler down systematically, alternating between head and body, probing for weaknesses. Whenever Butler attempted to retaliate, he was met with punishing counters. The Brit quickly realized he was not just fighting a man, he was fighting a force. By the later rounds, Inoue began to showcase his showmanship. He executed the Ali shuffle, threw behind-the-back punches reminiscent of Roy Jones Jr., and moved with the slick aggression of a prime Mike Tyson. The crowd roared with every flurry. Despite his courage, Butler couldn't keep up. In the 11th round, Inoue turned up the pressure. A monstrous right hand stunned Butler, followed by a left that folded him to the canvas. The referee counted him out, and Inoue was crowned the undisputed champion. In the aftermath, Butler was honest about the experience. He admitted feeling overwhelmed by Inoue's presence even before the first punch landed. He hadn't even thrown a shot, and I felt him edging me back, Butler said in a post-fight interview. That's the class of him. With that victory, Naoya Inoue became the first man in half a century to unify the bantamweight division. His dominance left an indelible mark on the sport, but he wasn't finished. He would go on to move up in weight, conquering the super bantamweight division by defeating American champion Stephen Fulton in yet another stunning display of boxing supremacy. With each victory, Inoue continues to redefine greatness, blending skill, speed, power, and a relentless work ethic into a fighting style that seems almost otherworldly. How high can Naoya Inoue climb? With every belt he captures and every challenger he dismantles, the question becomes not if he can conquer more divisions, but when. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the monster's path of vengeance and domination, make sure to subscribe and explore our other videos. Thank you for joining us until next time.